Hi friends, welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is Angular 10 complete tutorial playlist for absolute beginners. We are continuing to learn about reactive forms, and in today's episode we will learn how to track the status changes in the form. Our forms will go through various status during the form data entry of the user or when he is manipulating or working with the form. The form status can range anywhere from dirty, pristine, untouched, touched, valid, invalid. We might want to add some kind of a business layer or a logic and say when the form is invalid, what should happen? What if the form goes to dirty state? What if it is example, like if you make some changes, we want to enable a button like save, or if it's invalid, show an error message, etc. So it's important for us to know the status change whenever that form status changes. That's what we are going to learn today. This is part 68 of the Angular 10 complete tutorial playlist. I have planned more than 100 tutorials for you in this particular series. I hope you're liking the tutorials so far created in the series. If you do, please do consider checking out all the tutorials so that you can learn and master Angular with me. Following all are all the topics and episodes that I've created in this particular series, from ground zero, from scratch to most advanced topic with code examples so that you can learn and master Angular with me. Alright, so if you have any doubts in the previously covered topics, do let me know in the comments section. I will be more than happy to help you. Today we are in the 68th episode. Today we learn about how to track status changes in the reactive form. A quick note for our friends who are joining us new: reactive forms are a way to create forms in Angular application. There are two types of forms that we can create: template driven forms and reactive forms. Whenever you work with reactive forms, you'll find yourself using form group, form control, form array, and form builder mostly. To work with reactive forms, the most important thing is to use reactive forms module. Angular maintains the state information of the forms at all times, and you see these are the listed form states that I have listed already covered, which is touched, untouched, dirty, pristine, valid, and invalid. I have covered that in detail in the previous episode, so make sure you check it out to learn further and master it. Three important things to remember in reactive forms: form control, form group, form builder. Alright, so status changes. Whenever there is a change in the status of any particular form or a form control, we can always track that. Just like value changes, status changes also returns an observable. It means that if it's returning an observable, we have to subscribe to it so that we can get the latest data. Let's see that in action so that you learn with hands-on example. Alright, so this is our form and all the examples that we are doing in this particular series. So I'll go to my ng on init, right? And first we will learn how to track status change in the entire form, right? So if you are following along, you would have noticed we used value changes in the last episode. Just like that. Similarly, we can track the entire form status. And how do we do that? We'll take the form and say status changes. This means whenever there is a change in status, this it will return a new observable. And since it will return an observable, we have to subscribe to it, right? And whenever there is a state change, it will give us the new data here. Okay, now let me show you that in action. So let's go to our application, and it says status changes is not defined. What is that? Okay, let's refresh. There's of undefined. Okay, so we are saying status this dot form dot status change, right? So we need to check since we have added the validation for the form, see here, right? So what we'll do is we will move this and we will say dot get loan name dot status changes dot subscribe data console.log data. Okay, so cannot get undefined because the form is not yet created. That's my bad. So I'm going to move it off at the end of ng on init. Okay, so now you see, now the error is no more. But now let's go ahead and enter some value in the form with to make it. Now you see it is invalid. Why? Because there are some validators that we have added to this particular form. Let me quickly show you that. If you see the form, we have added few validators here like required, minimum length, maximum length, etc. And we also said it is required, right? So this form is invalid because it has to certify all these values. It has to certify all the conditions of these validations. If it is not fulfilled, the form will be invalid, right? That's what we are getting on key up. We are capturing the value here. It is invalid. So let's enter some values. Now it says it is valid, right? Now let's see. And that was only done for this particular field. You see here, for this particular form control, which is loan name. We can do the same for the entire form. Just copy that, paste it, and remove this control name. So what will happen is now it will track the entire form. Okay, so here I'm tracking the status change for the form. Here I'm tracking the status change for a particular form control. These two are extremely crucial whenever you're working with really complex forms in enterprise setup. You will find yourself mostly using with select drop downs or some radio checkbox drop down or options, right? Whenever there are some changes, you will have to trigger this state. Now see, so it says invalid because the form is invalid and the value is also invalid. If I step out, so just to add a error messaging, right? Just for your convenience, I will also comment off this portion. So now you will only see the form status. Okay, so now you see form status is invalid, invalid, right? It will be invalid till this particular all the things are filled the details. See, it will be invalid. Fill in all the details, right? So now it is still invalid. Let's see why. Is there a condition that we, so now it says it is valid, maybe some validation in terms of number of characters, right? So think of it that way. Now we are getting form as valid here. So if you delete some more, now if you see it is still valid. Now let's delete few and it is still valid. Now let's delete, now it becomes invalid, right? So that's how you can track the entire form or a particular form control. Extremely important. Make sure that you get it right. Make sure you try it out and let me know if you have any issues or queries. I'll be more than happy to help you. I hope I'm making the topics clear to you with these basic examples. Slowly we will start putting them together and make it a real application form which can have all of these methods and functionality used. That being said, thank you so much for joining in today's episode. In the next episode, I'm going to start a very extremely important topic on reactive forms, which is form array. Most people in most applications, you will see this form array being used, right? In any kind of application, I would say that which involves dynamic form controls, you will have form array. So it's important for you to learn and master form array. I hope you have mastered the reactive form so far with me. Stay with me. I will continue to make you master in form array as well. If you like my tutorials, please do consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/arctutorials and join me in the next episode. Till then, subscribe, like, share, and comment if you have any queries. Thank you again for joining.